Welcome to Embracing Infinity, exploring the infinite oneness in the space of love and truth. Host Jennifer Rose is an international spiritual medium, healer, channeler, mentor, and transformational guide. Her focus is encouraging individuals to know themselves within the lens of their divine heart and highest potential, to evolve within the frequency of love and peaceful harmony. Now, here's your host, Jennifer Rose.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jennifer Rose, and thank you so much for joining me today. This is our debut show of Embracing Infinity. I'm so excited to be part of this creation, and welcome everybody who's coming on, and thank you for being here. I'm so excited to be having our beautiful guest, Debbie Romero, coming on in just a minute. She's my beautiful friend, my soul sister, and a fabulous medium and a soul out there doing great things for the community and for our spirit world. This show, I'm hoping, is going to keep evolving and elevating into a beautiful way that we can all expand our consciousness together and grow in love and grow in harmony and just be part of a community where we can just keep this expansion going. So I look forward to having a lot of wonderful guests coming on, and we will just be on this journey of love together. The infinite is where we are all from. It's our portal to the all that is, ever was, and will be. And it has shown up for me in the most beautiful and inspiring way. And I hope that it will show up for you too, if it hasn't already. So we're going to be doing some just wonderful exploration throughout the rest of the year as we keep moving forward with the show. And I want to thank everybody for being here. But before I say hello to everybody here, I would like to bring in Miss Debbie Romero to join me.
Aww,
there she is. There's our girl. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, love. Thank you for having me here. Congratulations on your new show. It is an honor. Oh my God, this is so cool.
It is really, really cool. I know. We've turned it around because you've had me on your show and now I get to have you on mine. So it gets to come full circle, as it always does. Everything comes full circle, doesn't it, everybody? Should we say hi to all our beautiful friends?
Yeah, let's do it. It's that infinity of love, that 8 just comes into that full circle. I love it.
It's right there for us. Exactly. So let's see. We've got Maggie and Zoe are here, and Stacia. Hello, hello.
Hey, Zoe girl, Tammy girl. Look at all your loved ones are here. Look at this. Your girlfriend Tammy. I love all the support. And for those on Facebook, we can't see who you are, so put your name in there. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, some of you are showing up as Facebook user, so we're not being rude. We just don't know who's there, who it is. But we love you. Hey, Miss Tammy and Miss Ronnie's here too. Elliot is here. Oh my gosh, Fran is here. Look at all of our friends are here. Oh my gosh, Cheyenne is here. Lee and Jennifer. Oh my gosh, thank you for joining us, everybody.
Courtney too. Courtney Lopez, I gotta say, she's always showing up and giving so much support. Like, thank you, Courtney, for being here. Also, Simon, my buddy, what's up, Simon?
Hey, Simon.
Simon, what's up? That's Simon's the dude.
Thank you, everybody.
That's what's up. Yes, I love it. Thank you all for just being here and holding space. Thank you so kindly, Tammy, for that. Love, Jennifer has opened up the platform for so many of us, and look at you shine, friend. This is just so beautiful to watch you go into the next level. So cool.
Yeah, I'm super jazzed, super excited, and very blessed and grateful for sure. So, Debbie, I know that most of us know you very, very well, but would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself for all of us here in case there's anybody that's new on or going to be watching it later?
Okay, well, I have a little cold, guys, so bear with me. I think my journey started very young. A lot of people always wonder, Debbie, when did you start? When did you start doing this? And so it was in my 20s is when I started. And so with that being said, it was about taking care of myself. Obviously, I'm sick right now, but it was about self-care, and it was about trying to understand my own gifts. It was trying to understand how Spirit was using me as a vessel and connecting with me as well. It's very interesting because I could feel spirit already coming in hot with you guys. So I'm coughing because there's a gentleman here that's just coughing. So spirit's coming in hot with all of you. So bear with me here. But yeah. So with that being said, I just took the journey within for self. So the journey for me was to understand what was happening to me and to bring love back to me and to take care of parts of myself where I forgot to or I couldn't. And so as I allowed myself to find that solace or that inner peace, the mediumship just started to continue to grow stronger and stronger. And you and I always say it's like that boot camp, right? It's that boot camp feeling of like, once you're in it, it's like, be careful what you ask for, because we get so excited. We're like, oh, I'm going to heal. I'm going in. Let's go. And then you don't realize like all this you've been holding on to comes to the surface and it takes you through a different type of energy, and it's kind of a little bit like, whoa, I don't want to work through that. What is that? Like, wait a minute, hold on. let me pull it back. I'm just kidding. But really, I've learned to look at different facets of myself and evolving and transcending day by day. And so that's how my journey started, was for myself and to understand what was happening to me.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, Debbie. And you're so right, because we get so excited when we start going on this journey of transformation. And a lot of times we just like want to, develop our intuitive skills, and then we realize we have to spiritualize the self. So we're like, okay, spirit, let me have it all now. Just get it all over with. All at once. Like that same like. And so now sometimes when I see people doing that, they're like, I'm ready. And I'm like, oh, dear.
We've had these talks. I play tribute. I go in, I'll take. But really, when you're
slow down.
it gets very exciting. But when you're starting to dive deeper, it really can be emotional. It's a lot of looking at yourself, and aspects of yourself that we tucked away. And we haven't been, it's like, oh, I'll deal with that later. Well, until your cup starts to fill up, you have no choice but to look at it. And so one layer at a time, right?
It's very true. And it's a never-ending process. We will continue growing until we're moving on into spirit world. And I'm sure we'll continue growing when we're there as well, too. It's so true.
Right.
The infinity showed up for me like really kind of early on, like, because when I started going into spiritual awakening and transformation, like I noticed like my body would start moving in infinity symbols, like my arm would or my neck would. And I know that shows up for a lot of people, especially when they start getting into those deeper levels where they're going into like Kundalini awakening, and the mudras and the yoga postures and all that showed up. But the infinity showed up like really, really big time for me too. And so I knew that was like something really big, connecting me to this higher consciousness. And I'm curious, and it's deepened my understanding of love. And I've understand that, we're going to be consistently unpacking love and growing love and understanding love. And I know because you and I are so close, it's been that way for you too, but it showed up in your own special way as well.
Right. So I've had different awakenings. And, when you are going through that Kundalini awakening, I remember just feeling the roar of the earth, just kind of really pushing through me, and the energy. And it's such a beautiful process if you allow yourself to let it happen. It is a very the feelings that you get, the vibration and the movements of everything that flows through you, it's pushing stuff out of the energy field so that you can be that clear vessel. And so again, the chakras do hold onto memory, and they're holding onto energy. So imagine the energy rising, pushing the energy out of the chakra system so that you can purge and work through those energies. And so it does have that rhythm of like, whoa, this is what just happened? Oh, okay, hold up. But it's part of the experience, and it is a very personal, intimate experience. Some of the things that we experience when we're awakening, or the visions that we get, they're for you. And we get so excited and we want to share them, and like, what does this mean? And that's where you go back within yourself to say, hey, what did this mean for me? So it's spirit working with you on an individual level. And for me, mine was very sacred. It was very personal. I actually took time away from working with circles, taking time away from going into groups, and I just started to work on my own, would sit at the beach daily for hours. Once I learned I can go into trance and go into connect to my healer guides and things like that, I never stopped daily. I sat in the power and welcomed the healing. And I just let everything happen naturally and organically for myself.
Yeah, that's so beautiful too. And I'm sure COVID was like prime real estate for spiritual awakening for so
Mm,
many people, including myself too, because we had the time because we were home. And so the spirit could just kind of like, process a lot of transformation. But I love what you brought up because a lot of people don't understand the energetic changes that people go through when they're having those like deeper levels of transformation too. And it can be really scary for people because they don't understand why they're getting these vibrations or little zaps or tingles or why all this
mhm.
emotions coming up and what is this flowing through my energetic system. And if
Right.
they don't understand it, it can be a little bit scary. I think fortunately for you and I, because we had enough clairaudience developed, we can hear spirit, talking us kind of through it too. But you're
Right.
very right. It can be very private, very intimate, and those visions we get are teaching us things. And then there's this, like you said, sort of it's almost like a life review when you're living,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I
You
think we
know?
have those quite a bit, right? I know for
Yeah.
me, every time there's a review and things are coming to the surface to relook at, I'm like, what's going to happen next? What's coming up? Why am I reviewing all of this stuff? Why am I seeing this? But I respect it.
Yeah.
I honor it. I let it come to my awareness, and that's where you don't judge it. And this is part of the healing. You actually really just give it love and say, okay, I give respect, I give it love, and I forgive
Hmm.
myself if there was something that was uncomfortable. Maybe, as the story comes to your awareness, this is where you're giving it that love and the affinity of compassion for that story that's passing through your awareness.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Many, many stories passing
Yeah,
through
girl.
where there's so many
That's
stories.
right. I got multiple books out there, y'all. My Akashic
Um,
records like this.
and a lot of people
Hey!
don't realize that, we live a story here in this physical reality, but in that psychic space, there's a whole lot of storytelling going on too. And some of it's just if with our individual relationships with people. And then when we're trying to work stuff out or trying to understand what's happened with an interaction, then we're hearing all these things play out. And a lot of times people believe it. So we have to learn to kind of separate the story from what is actually true. But then
Mm,
also when you're in transformation, also there's a lot of storytelling playing out, and it's almost like having more lifetimes in that reality while you're in that space, and then you kind of come back into this 3D space too. And those are all just meant to teach you things too, to give you experiences that you may not even have while you're here. So it gets really complex, but I feel like it's good we're talking about this because there's at least one person who needs to know, oh, that's normal, me too, you
right. And
know.
I think when
Yeah.
we're in that 5D and we're working in that
Mhm.
place and we're connecting to all of this different energy, the energy is coming and it's presenting itself in a way that you would understand. So if a person is coming to your awareness, you also want to look at it. What's the personality of that person? It may not necessarily be that specific person, but there could be a trait that's connected to that person that's giving you that energy or that connection in that way. And so this is where you really have to unfold, what is this trying to tell me? And that can get very difficult, especially, don't we want to make things fit so quickly. And when we're in that 5D, it doesn't always work that way because 5D's got to come to the 3D. So what happens in heaven got to
Mhm.
be on earth. And so all these, it's great to manifest and it's great to create in that energy field, but also how do you anchor that in and how do you make it a reality? And so this is where you be gentle with yourself because if you believe there's no such thing as time or space, then we're already living in that space of time. And so it's happening.
Mhm.
But I mean, really, it ultimately has to do with your perception and your belief. And so if it feels good and you're enjoying it, you're getting the healing, I say embrace it.
Very good. Well, and I know you and I have had a lot of conversations about perception, and that's one thing that we could probably share with people too, is that perception is very individual, and that's why people see things from different perspectives in different ways. So, two people could be interacting and having the same experience and describe it very differently and experience it very differently. And a lot of times we assume that somebody else's perception or perspective should be the same because we saw the same thing or heard the same thing, but yet it
Right.
isn't that way. And even with mediumship too, right? If we could all be, for instance, you could have 5 mediums maybe talking to the same loved one in spirit, but we would all be getting different aspects of them that they might be sharing with us. Or some people will have a similar, if it were, say, an experience of spiritual phenomenon. Some people
Mm-hmm.
may see a spirit in the room and some people may not. And it doesn't
Right.
mean that they aren't gifted. It just means it hasn't been channeled into their perception. It was channeled into their perception.
Right. So what comes to my awareness is the movie Kardec. I love that movie.
Yeah.
If you anyone haven't had an opportunity to watch it,
Mhm.
it's a movie that I would highly recommend. And they're working with different mediums, and some of them are going into different trance states, and the way they're working with the mediumship, and they all work differently, whether it's through quilt or writing, auto writing. But the message, when he puts it together for a book, it's all the same, but just worded
Right.
differently. So we all get a piece, and this is what's beautiful, especially like for paranormal investigations. We all get a different piece to create the history of the energy of spirit. And so there's a story for spirit that needs to be shared. And what one person may see is going to be added to the book that's created of their life that they want to share. And so you may be clairvoyant, you may be able to hear it, you may be able to feel it, and you may be able to see it. But how you're putting it together, that's the gift. That is the gift of really unfolding the message for that spirit.
Yeah,
That's why
really,
it
really
requires a
beautiful,
team.
Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really, really beautiful, Debbie. And I know that your approach is very heart-centered too. And so I love what you bring to the table with your research over in that area too, because you have an understanding that, every spirit has a story to tell, and maybe they just need to have their story told and see what we can learn from that. And it might not be a scary thing
Right.
after all, you
Well,
know?
it isn't scary. A lot of times I
Mhm.
find that if it's really coming in very intense, like this man that came in, I couldn't breathe, he came in hot.
Right.
But,
Hmm.
I obviously paused for it. But there's always a message. And when they come in quickly, usually it's out of saying, I'm sorry, or please forgive me, or please tell them that I love them, or they're acknowledging something that's happening in the moment of now just to give that extra upliftment or support. And so sometimes we look at it as a scary thing, but really it's maybe something we're celebrating, an anniversary, a
Hmm.
birthday, congratulations, you got a new place. Congratulations, you're empowering yourself. There are a lot of ways that Spirit's going to say, I see you, girl.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. I so agree with you.
Yeah, get it, girl.
I know. Well, we can have pre-existing belief system and see things on TV, and if we're not familiar sometimes with feeling things or hearing things or seeing things, it can be a little bit scary at first too, and then only to find out like this is just grandma wanting to say hello or say, I know you're having a rough time right now, but I really need to get your attention so that you can pay attention so that we can help you, and it's just a matter of like switching your perspective,
Mhm.
and I've told this story before of one of my students who, way back in the day, had this physical manifestation of a red handprint show up in her bathroom, and it
Oh,
really
yeah.
just turned out. I know it really just turned out to be one of her guides saying, "Stop! We're shifting your story." And then she did have some significant shifts right after that too. Change of relationship, change of place where she lived. A lot of big shifts happened, and of course, she was a medium and didn't quite know it back then too. But for a lot of
Mhm.
people that could be scary, right? But all we had
Yeah.
to do was unpack it. And so that's what's nice, if you can find somebody that can help you unpack it, look a little deeper, and find what's really going on. And then there's just such relief when you get to the knowing, when you get to sort of like the bottom of the mystery of it too.
Right. I think too,
Yeah.
also, we have to understand that we believe that the characteristics and the personality continues and the mind continues as we pass. And so there are different layers of aspects that we're touching on when the soul is presenting itself. So we could be
Hmm.
filling into their personality, and maybe they were not a cool person and maybe they were
Yeah.
aggressive. And so sometimes when you're going into places of, like, let's say a hospital or somewhere where there was war, you're going to feel into the heartache of that frustration of the soul that, you know, may have suffered or passed in a very tragic way. And that energy can come in and very dense. And so it can feel very scary and sad all at the same time. And so with us, look at that, and, you know, versus, please, you know, we're giving healing to that by acknowledging what they went through and acknowledging the love that they needed to say, I see you. I'm so sorry you passed alone. But at the same time, when we're giving a message for someone else that it's your loved one, it's very different that you were there with them. So there's a different component on how the reads come in. And so going back to the paranormal part, I felt like I had to share that because there are characteristics and personalities that are touched that can be very aggressive. And so that can be very scary depending on how you're open to feel into that.
Right. I think that's where kind of like experience gets into it. Like how, you know, when we've been doing a lot of mediumship, we learn to just let things go in and out, go in and out. We let it touch our perception, we describe it, and then we move it on. We don't hold on to it too. And just because we're feeling into how somebody was when they were in the living doesn't mean that that's how they are over in spirit world too. So it's just a matter of learning to make that distinction and having that experience, but also I think this is where we can start maybe just talking a little bit about trust and love in spirit world, developing that trust, knowing that that's really important.
Right. And that's where we get past the personality and the characteristics. And then we're now in the soul, which is pure love. And so depending on what layer they're allowing you to see into, or whatever layer that we're able to tap into, that is the part of our part of holding space for the story. So that's going back to everyone gets a different piece of the story. And so that's why we need many other mediums to be able to hold space and get the information in the way you will process and understand it, because spirit needs your voice.
Yeah, very true. And I think building that love and that trust is so vital and important, you know, because I just like I wouldn't be scared to go into, you know, to go into a place. I just wouldn't be, just because I have the trust and I have the love, the spirit. Well, I know they have my back. I know it's going to be okay. And I know there's a soul behind every personality, just like you said. But it's, you know, I think it takes us a while to get to that place too. I do believe Greg had a question.
Okay.
Can we put
shifting
that
the story? What layers of partnership?
Yeah. What layers of partnership with guides empowers that kind of interactive state? You want to take that one, Debbie?
So it depends on what guides you're working with. So it's your trust with your guides and how they're working with you, and the bond that you are trusting to say, okay, tell me your story, tell me the story. You know, so shifting the story with their assistance, if you're working with your guides, you're trusting in them to bring that awareness to you. So what layers of partnership with guides empowers that kind of interactive state? If you're looking at empowering, right? It's not the guides that are going to be empowered, it's you. Oftentimes we go to the discarnate and we look at the discarnate for help, but ultimately it's up to you to feel empowered, to trust that you're getting the information, to feel that you're feeling with all your senses and knowing that you are getting the exact information in the story for the soul. And then the beauty of it is that you can go, here's an exercise that I was going to do with my students. I was going to get a story, find the story of a tragic passing, or just something that it doesn't even have to be tragic, but a history. Have them chime in and then validate it. Start practicing with your own self, your own mediumship muscle, to say, okay, what are you feeling with this? You know, how are you feeling into the energy? And then go back to the facts. What's tangible? You got to research what's the address, who passed there, you know, what history was on that land. And so this is where you start to investigate and work for yourself, and you're developing that muscle for you. So when your guides come in, they're holding space and they're there with you, but ultimately it's you that has to stay empowered and trusting that you're getting the story as it needs to be given.
Yeah, I love that you said that, Debbie. Thank you so much too, because we do kind of put spirit world on a pedestal. And I know as they work through me, they're always saying, no, we're the same. We're just having a different experience. We are still spirit too. And we put them on a pedestal and kind of give our power and ask them to answer all our questions and do
Right.
everything for us, and forget that we have a higher self too. We are the divine also, and we can connect to the divine. We can connect to
Right.
our own higher self as our guide too, and have that empowerment. And that's why sometimes they don't answer all of the questions for us, or they give us a little bit
Exactly.
of a riddle, because we're meant to be, prove to ourselves that we can do it, that we have it within us, the power is within us, just like Dorothy. It always comes back to Dorothy, you
Right.
know, but so
And
true.
yeah, and
Yeah.
this is where we're unfolding the message. So when you do get a piece of evidence, that piece of evidence needs to be unfolded. So for you, Greg, like if you're looking at the heart, who would have had a heart condition? Would it have been connected to father? How does that heart connect to you and your father? How did that make you feel? Where were you at in the home when your father was ill? Was he laying in the bed? So you're really unfolding just the moment of the heart. And so when spirit is giving us that golden nugget, there's an unfoldment of that evidence. So it's just like, oh, I have a cat. No, you have a cat that would have been like Garfield, and it would have sat in this yellow type of tile, and the cat would come around these brown kind of cabinets. And so this is unfolding the message. And so this, as you start to develop the muscle and trust it, there's so much to just the one piece of evidence.
Right. So true. And it will keep growing and growing for all those people who are developing their mediumship. That evidence will keep growing, and it might kind of come in as a little bit of a drip, like an IV drip in the beginning, where it's like one piece at a time. But eventually it keeps coming and you get more, and you're able to see the full story, and you're able to see the memory as you develop more of your clairvoyance and put your feeling into it. And it starts to all kind of come back together. So it's beautiful teaching, Debbie, that
Mhm.
you put in there too. So, and if anyone else has any questions, put that in for us too, and then maybe we'll get to some messages as well. We are the divine physical, Courtney. Very good. I am divine when I am behaving myself.
We always divine because we are spirit. That's
Well,
what's up.
Spirit has a sense of humor, Eddie. I have to tell you. So, they, they really do have a sense of humor, so you never know. You never know what little tricks they have up their sleeves sometimes, just to keep us from not taking life too seriously as well too. So but I'd love to read this quote, Debbie, and get your take on it, and we'll see if anyone else has any questions as they come in too. It's forgive me if I don't say his name correctly, Fyodor Dostoevsky. That's got to be Russian. The mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. So I wanted to read that quote to you and see how that rang for you. Kind of about like finding our purpose, finding our meaning in life. And I know for you and I, we live that every day.
Yeah. I think a lot of us want to, trust into that we are in alignment. And I think there's no wrong. We are exactly where we're supposed to be in this moment of our experience. And we always are striving to recreate. And that's the beauty of recreating and changing the story. But where you are today is an experience. And with the experiences, if they're harder, that gives you the wisdom to have empathy for self and for others as you continue to move forward, and trusting that you are exactly where you're supposed to be in this exact moment.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Because we're never alone in this experience. We're not separate from it, because we're spirit having a human experience. So that means there is a divine plan to everything. We don't have to understand it all, but there is. And if we can take that pressure off, that we've like made some kind of mistake, because at the end of the day, we understand everything that's happened has gotten us to be where we are now, and we can't really imagine ourselves being anybody different than we are now.
Right.
And it's all been for learning and growing. Doesn't mean it's easy, and it
Right.
doesn't mean we have to like it. Just means we
Right.
understand there's a purpose and an intelligence that's always there for us.
And this gives us an opportunity to look at the things that we've gone through and review your life experiences, because if those
Mhm.
experiences didn't happen, you wouldn't be as strong as you are today. It's keeping you going. It's teaching you to love. It's teaching you to have empathy. It's teaching you to be strong. It's teaching you to move forward, and it's teaching you to want more and to change. And so for for many of us, we always take the journey within for self because we always want something different. And then usually it's because we want peace. We want to be in a place of solace, of love. And we want to invite the kindness and compassion. And so, with hopes that that's why you're diving in, your movement forward will impress differently because you're diving in for change of the better.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful, Debbie. Thank you. That's really,
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful. And we're always going to keep growing. We're always going to keep changing. We're always going to keep better. And I think there is courage involved in taking this journey. I mean, a lot of us don't always realize what we're getting into when we start this, but there's a lot of courage to love boldly. Takes courage to be willing
Ooh.
to. Yeah, living requires your participation. Being alive can just be a spectator's activity. Very good, Elliot. That's perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
to participate means to be conscious and aware, and it's like, and I know you and I, Debbie, we've also talked about finding the balance of like being true to ourselves and being able to speak our truth, live our truth. But we also are trying to hold space for other people that we're connected to as well. So it's like, trying to find that balance so we're not living for everybody else's desires but
Right.
also holding space for them as well, and it's real tricky, but we get that with practice, with time.
Right. I think for
Yeah.
me, it's, being in our integrity and our morals and our beliefs and walking the path that we are putting forward. And it does take courage to stand up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It takes courage to want to say, hey, I deserve more, or I deserve to have self-worth and that self-love and that self-care, as we started prior. Oftentimes, depending on the circumstances, for mothers and fathers, we live for our children. We think about having to care for a family member or a friend, and there's, with life being so busy, we often forget, what do I need? And so this is where we have to bring the alignment back to say, how is your spirit and soul talking to you today? And unfortunately, at times we wait until we're in such a bad shape that we say, I got to make a correction. And so this is,
Yeah.
if you can take moments within the day to say, self check in. What do I need today? And what can I manifest different? And how can I give gratitude? And those are the three things that I have in my journal, my daily journal of gratitude that I created. And those are the 3 steps of really taking a look at ourselves daily. And it's not easy. So this is where you give yourself compassion and grace. Even if you didn't get to do that one manifestation step, it's still there and the seed is planted. So don't
Yeah,
forget to take care of you.
very true. And I know that's been a really big theme recently too, is just that self-care. And so many of us, we're all sensitives, we're all empaths, and so that means we're probably have been the people pleasers in our lives, and been kind of taught to be selfless. And there's nothing wrong with that too. But there is a point where you have to take care of you too, or you just run on empty, and then you don't have anything to give anyways too.
Right.
And so this, the journey into higher consciousness or to enlightenment, whatever people want to call it, it is a journey of knowing you, and
Right.
by knowing you, we know each other, and then we know
Right.
spirit, and then we know the collective, and it all comes back to home.
Right. And I think that it's a journey for sure. And it's not easy to say, what do I need today? And if you're doing that, congratulations to you.
I know. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we build a lot of presence, and groundedness, and that's where your confidence comes from, is being willing to be courageous enough to look at yourself, to see where else can I grow? Because yeah, we're all good people, we're all nice, but where
Mm-hmm.
else can we grow? What else is there? And be willing to kind of journey into the unknown, because spirit will take you there anyways. Your own higher self, if you're on this journey, you will be taken into the unknown, and
Right.
it can your sense of self will get changed, and so it feels as if
Right.
the ego is like going through like a death, or and the ego is just our experiential self, the part of us that has experiences, but your belief systems start to fall away, and what you thought was true before changes, right? And now what's true
Right.
for you is different. And
Oh
then
yeah.
that affects how everybody else around you feels about you and those kinds of things too. So, and that takes a lot of courage to be able to stay true to yourself, to stay true to your path, despite how other people may be reflecting what they're reflecting to you, because they may not like the way that you're changing. But what else can you
Oh
do?
yeah.
You're becoming a butterfly, and you can't stop. You can't stop a caterpillar from turning into a butterfly. It just
Right.
is.
This is why we say be mindful when we dive in, because you keep going. There's no stopping. You've opened the floodgate of transformation, and it's not an easy journey. But if you're willing to say, "I'm ready," and you're doing it, there comes the positive bliss, but also the hard look mirror. That mirror looking at yourself and saying, "What can I change within myself?" And that's not easy. And people are going to see that you're different. People are going to react different to your energy, and it may not be as welcoming, because you're also making them look at aspects of themselves, because you're elevating, you're changing. So everyone elevates, whether they know it or not. Energy is energy, and if you're coming from that spirit world and you're rocking it, everyone around you is going to get that same vibe, and so they also too will be healing and vibing in that energy, and they don't even realize that we're just leveling on up.
Yeah, very true. Healing is contagious. So if you go into this, in your journey, and the rest of your friends and family aren't, they're going to be affected by you, and it's not your fault. It just is. It's just that
Right.
it's a triggering effect, but it's beautiful, it's meaningful, and it's meant to happen. And so, people may not like it. They may not like having their sense of self being challenged. But that's their journey too. So we let them have their journey as we continue to have ours.
Right.
So it was a beautiful discussion. I feel like we covered a whole lot in a shorter period of time, but we can, see
Yeah.
if there's any more questions, or we could do a couple messages or some card pulls for everybody. What would you
Yeah.
like to do, Debbie?
I'm
We have a
open
few
to
more minutes.
everything.
Yeah.
I want to go to
Yeah.
Jennifer's comment here really quickly.
Yeah.
When you experience grief, your energy changes so much. And Jennifer, you're 100% accurate. In my life, and this is for many of us, we've done the work, and grief will hit us with a loss or a change of something that it's out of our control, whether an illness comes through, or a loss of your stability. We'll just say in some ways something is different that you're not able to control, right? And with that, the grief sets in, and especially when we lose a loved one, there is a heartache there that changes us. And this is where we even have to bring in that infinity of love that Jennifer is, embraces. And it's not easy. And so when you're now in a healing journey of grief, this is where you honor where you are every day. However that looks like for yourself, I say thank you. For a whole year almost, I went into a circle, I went into a class, I went into a healing course every day almost. And after my mom passed, I was in there for spirit art. I started doing spirit art, girl. Like, I don't even know, like, I was drawing and doing readings, and I was like, this just happened. And I was going in there and holding space, letting spirit come to me, letting them hold space for me. And this is where you want to develop a team of support, whether it's someone you can talk to, a professional, or you go and you have that girlfriend to have coffee, or getting yourself into some type of movement of exercise and speaking good to yourself. And then if it's because of the loss of a loved one, develop a tool that's going to give you that connection, a meditation that's going to let you connect to your loved one, so that you can start to feel into the essence of them as you invite them with you and to remember them. So yes, our structure is affected when we lose someone, or when we're going through great grief and sorrow. But there is a healing component when we're sitting in the power with other loving souls that will hold you by the hand of God to uplift you. So I'm just going to leave you with that. And my heart goes to you, because I've gone through that multiple different times, even in my healing journey. And I still honor where I'm at today. So we're in that place. If you're in that place, anybody here, give yourself gentleness and kindness for sure.
Yeah, that beautifully said. And I know you and I both know grief. We both know loss. And of course, if as mediums, some of that's meant to happen, and it's all meant to happen because it also develops that greater compassion for the people that we work with too, to understand what it feels like. And we're holding space for people in such a sacred and beautiful way. And, their feelings are right there in our hands, and so how we connect with our loved one to make that connection means the
Mhm.
world. How we handle that, how we approach it, how we hold them in that space of love so that they feel better, hopefully, and more uplifted, when we're done with the message too. And it's not a linear process. So,
Right.
you can feel like you're getting better, and then you might feel like you went backwards, but that's normal. Or you might feel like you're all over the place, and
Mhm.
loss is something that we all have in common. Grief is something that we all have in common, but it's still connected to love, because we wouldn't grieve if we didn't love,
Right.
and so in the end, it all comes back to love.
I gotta say, I don't know,
Yeah.
intuitively, I just hear it's okay to cry. It's okay
Hmm.
to cry is what I'm hearing. So oftentimes we try to stay so strong, and we try, we're in a healing journey. I'm rocking chick, and I ain't gonna cry like this. But really, tears, crying, feeling, hurting, feeling in the emotion is important.
Hmm. Yeah,
Grieving that
it's so
too.
true. Yeah, it's so true, because that's just, I mean, that's our raw vulnerability. But those, there's spirit in every tear that we shed. And it's funny that you brought that up, because I was looking through some of my old poems, and I looked at one that I wrote, about a year ago, when I was experiencing some grief too. And I was like, oh wow, look at that, so it's funny that you said that. So I kind of used poetry as sort of my catharsis, or as my outlet for
Me
some of
too.
that as well. But I talked about the tears and what they were, and your heart cracks open when you feel grief, but it does allow more light to emanate from you. So, the one gift we get is, feeling more of that intensity of love and light within us, and developing that deeper compassion. And it is hard when we're not allowed to cry. We've been taught that way since we were young, that emotions are
Right.
bad, sensitivity is bad. I still get criticized for that sometimes from, people who aren't on the same journey as I am too, and they don't get me. And I can't, who am I supposed to be but me? This is how I am. This is how I'm wired. It's my,
Right.
it's my nervous system. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times my sensitivity isn't all mine. It's theirs that I'm mirroring back to them, because I can feel into what's going on within them and in their system. And it's just blending with mine. And
Mm-hmm.
what they don't realize is I'm reflecting back what's in them too.
Right. We cry and we
Yeah.
get emotional with the reading because we're releasing for them. So
Hmm.
oftentimes for those who are doing the readings, that's also another indicator for you that you're also holding space for that person to release just as much as you are for yourself, because we are also releasing our own grief. So they're also holding space for us. So it's a
Yeah, it's
beautiful
beautiful.
unfoldment, right?
I love
Grief
this
is
comment too about allowing your son to cry, because that's so important. And I think, like I've said that before, it's okay to cry, even if you're a man. Grief can be many things. It's very, very true, because I do think it's harder for the male population, because they are raised with some different expectations. It's better now. I think parenting's come a long way, where we are allowing more children to have their feelings and learn with their emotions, and not be, like punished for having emotions, and those kinds of things. It's gotten a lot better, but there's always, more room to grow. And then we get mad at people for not being able to express their emotions, and it's not their fault, because they've never been allowed to. And that may be a process for them to get through
right.
too. And so that's where we can sometimes, within our own growth, is we may feel like, why isn't that person showing any, compassion for me or emotion towards me? What is that too? And we forget what happened within them, what might their journey be too. And that will help to give us some space, so we're not taking it so personally.
Right. And usually it's not about us. And this is where we have to have
Mhm.
respect for wherever they're at in their journey.
Yeah.
And we absolutely react differently. We hold our energy differently. And so how we
Yeah.
release, we're all working through that differently. So just having respect is so important for a person, and not taking it
Very true.
personal, or, not taking it like, oh man, you got it to honor where they're at, and give gratitude that they're vulnerable enough in front of you. Takes courage
Yeah.
to have someone open up to you.
It really, really does. And we just
Hmm.
sometimes want things to be done in our timing. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because, maybe we are needing that in that moment. But to also keep in the background that we can't make people be where they're not in the moment. Self awareness is a journey of self, right? And so all we can
Right.
do is keep working on us and, growing within ourselves. I do believe Courtney had a question too, if we could come back to that to I wanted to make sure I acknowledged her there. Okay. If maybe we are talking to energy that is just here in our static atmosphere, are we pulling memories from the person, or is that all coming from the creator?
So it depends on psychometry. So if you're looking at the atmosphere, what are you around? So everything holds energy, right? Every object, everything that, let's say my mother lived in this house. She had a habit of opening up the cabinets, getting her coffee cup every day, loved her coffee. And so that her energy's all over that. That was her routine. So if you move into a home and you're feeling the energy of a home, it has to do with either what's there or the people that are around you, because energy is what's around you. So if you're looking for spirit and you're feeling into the energy or the essence as like, wait a minute, this is something different. This is discernment to say who's communicating with me, who's the person that's coming through, and also feel into the message. So this is where now you're tapping into your mediumship or your psychic abilities. So depending on what you're touching, what you're around, and where you're communicating, it's all different, Courtney.
Yeah.
So I hope I answered that right. I feel like you still have more in-depth
Yeah.
questions, because I feel like
Yeah.
your house is very active, is the sense I get. I feel like you like to keep things clean, and I feel like you're making sure the energy's moving out. So I can get the sense that you're like this person that cleans your house spiritually all the time. I feel like you're going in there with lighting sage. That changes the energy, but it never takes away from the history or the memory of the object. So you're still going to get the
Yeah.
object and the energy of it, but it'll give you a little bit of an enlightened, lighter feeling. If that would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really good too. And energy is just information. So if you just think about energy as just data, it's just information, then we don't have to be so scared of it. We don't have to be so like, this is bad, this is good. So kind of like judgmental of it. It's just information. It can't hurt you. And sometimes we think more about like what other people's energy versus our own and what we're bringing to the table. Are we ever conscious of like what our energy is like when we're walking into a place all stressed out? We may not think about that, but we may think
Mm-hmm.
about what the other person is doing. So that's where it's good to be, mindful and just remember like information, it can't hurt us. It's just information, you know what I mean? And so it
Right.
may have some different wavelengths or vibrations, but the more you come into your confidence of yourself as divine spirit and know your power and just keep your power out versus like trying to pull it in within that more of that fear mode, you should feel like pretty good with that. You should feel like you can hold your own and you can go into any place and you'll be just fine, and know that you're connected to the light and that's always there for you, so nothing can hurt you. But I understand that it takes a little time to get there. And I know, Courtney, you were also, just to sidetrack a little bit, you were talking about your husband's inner child, and we all have that within us too. We need to love the boys like we love the girls. um, yeah, because they're going to be the ones taking care of those girls one day, and that way they can understand all the emotions that these girls will have. That's really beautiful. It's very, very true. We are wired differently, and that's that's very important and meaningful to be able to understand the male and the female within each of us and how to relate to emotions and how to hold space for each other. And I know, Debbie, you and I, that will kind of filter in a little bit to the divine masculine and feminine as
Mm-hmm.
well as too, is that women, when we tend to be able to get our emotions out and feel heard and seen, then we can relax and kind of be into that Lordic feminine receptivity mode, which is usually how men would like us to be, right? When
Right.
we're able to just kind of get that out and get our stress of our day out and get all of that mind out and be able to talk about how we feel without any kind of like, judgment against it, then we can relax and feel safe. Our cortisol levels are going to go down. We're going to go into that rest and relaxation response. And then, we're able to like hold space for our man too. So
Mm, it's true.
beautifully said,
As you
Courtney.
say
Thank
that,
you.
here's the
Courtney's
communication card. There's the wolf. There's the wolf. Speak your truth, girl.
It's all about the communication, and that's one of the
Right.
hardest things for us to learn, because everybody's different in the way they perceive because of perception. And so it's a journey. And I think as long as we're willing to keep trying to learn to communicate. But first we've got to get ourselves grounded, safe, and relaxed first. Because if our bodies aren't right and we're in fight flight mode, because just our physiological self is stressed, it makes it really, really hard. So that's why Debbie and I keep talking about self-care all the time.
Well, I think
So,
too, because we are holding space for spirit and for the energies of all of you. And so when we're blending and we're melding, we're allowing our auric field to fill into the essence of what you're experiencing as a sitter. And so sometimes there is grief that's sitting in there, and we are holding space for grief, and we're allowing the energy to move through our awareness. And that also, we're having to take care of ourselves so we can stay strong, to hold the link and to anchor that tree so that we can not be teetered when we're holding that energy.
that is very, very true. So as mediums have to take care of ourselves so we can hold the power, get enough rest, and try to eat healthy and stay grounded. So we have a lot of self-work to be able to do this work for spirit and for the community too. So it's not easy, but we do it, right? Because we're devoted.
Right.
We're
But
devoted and dedicated.
this is where you just be kind. If you're not there, and just be kind. Just take it day by day. I try to take it day by day. I'm a rock star in that area. Trust me, I'm taking it day by day. I'm over here coughing and choking, and got my toxins releasing because I did some inner healing this weekend. So it is what it is. This is keeping it real. This is where I'm at today, and I'm going to keep it real. That's just what you got to do.
Right.
Honor where you are in the moment. Some days are good and some days are bad, and that's just what it is. And this is where I think we make it complicated. We want to be this and we want to be this angelic
all the time.
being, and really I'm a mess. I'll be like, oh my God, where are my keys? Where are my books? Where are my things? And I have my moments too. Absolutely honor all of it. Keeping it real.
And don't be putting us on pedestals, because we're human too. You know what I mean? And it's not meant to be that way. Nobody's better than anybody else. We're all just at different stages of our journey, and everybody's journey is meaningful, and not one person is better. And if we put a lot of pressure on ourselves and each other when we go putting people above us or below us, it doesn't help. So that's another lesson too. Yeah. So exactly, and Debbie, we help each other out, and you remind me to stay in the moment if I'm projecting too much into the future, or I'm reliving the same story 10 times over. You're like, just bring it back to today, Jennifer. Oh yeah, thanks. So it's good to have a buddy to remind us of these things, because we need to be reminded sometimes too, and I know we both have been through a lot of transformation, and it's our tribe. We're very lucky to have, a tribe of these beautiful women, many who are here today, who have supported us just like we have supported them. It's been back and forth. And those positivity that we've gotten to receive from each other have been so helpful, to know that we're loved unconditionally. We're very blessed to know we have all these beautiful women here that have loved us unconditionally, and it keeps growing. And there's something very, very special about that.
Right. Coming together with a tribe and finding people that are supportive, that are not going to judge you, finding a group of women or friends that will listen to you without judgment. It's important to have that one person. If you don't have that, then, this is where you go into getting a therapist, or you find a team. Our body holds on to so much energy. Even acupuncture would be great. Looking at ways to move the energy out of the body, a massage. Our body needs that love, that connection, that touch of energy to be moved. And if we don't have that person to do it for us, this is where you're going to empower yourself to find that person. I would go to the chiropractor. I would go to the acupuncture. I went to an herbalist. I was like, you name it, I did it. So you're going to find what feels right for you. And over time, the toxins will release and move, and you'll start to feel lighter as taking it day by day. So, look at Mr. Peter Bay. What up, Pete?
I know. Hey, Pete. Good to see everybody.
I want to readings?
Yeah,
You wanted to?
yeah, I know. I pulled
Go
a
ahead.
card, and just wanted to also thank everybody for their comments, because there's so many just wonderful comments of everything what everybody's adding into the conversation. So it's going to be fun to go back and kind of watch the replay, because I haven't been able to see every single one, but as they've been showing up too. I also want to give a shout out to Kelly and Todd too, for over at Sacred Spiral, for helping us to have these, because you have got your show and I've got mine here, and they've got theirs too. And so this is a really growing, beautiful space of love and community. So they've done such a great job. But while you were talking, I pulled Atlantis. Keep the big vision. Stay in alignment as you grow. So that goes very well with what we've just been talking about.
Right,
Right. Keeping.
I love that. And then
right.
I got gratitude. Look at that. So when you're in there,
Beautiful.
give gratitude. Look at that power. She's like, yeah, I got this. I'm walking in my truth, power, and gratitude. So, and then here's your cosmic connection.
Beautiful, beautiful. And, we can shift so much energy in so many situations by trying to find a positive way of looking at it, or trying to find a way to be grateful, trying to find a way that this can teach us or help us grow. It doesn't mean we can't acknowledge the pain of things. But there's a lot of, ways that really, really work, that help us to shift our experience. And the more we love ourselves, the more we take care of us, the more we try to also see the good in other people, we start to shift our perception and our perspective, and more of that starts to show up for us if we're just willing to try. It's all Spirit asks, is that we're just willing to try and show some vulnerability and some open-heartedness too. So yeah. Did you want to give a message or pull another card, Debbie?
I can. Do you want me to go to see who's open in the comments?
We have a few more. Yeah, we have a few more minutes. Yeah, okay. Let's do it.
So let's see who's here. If everybody can just, if you're on Facebook, just put your name in the comments as well, and then just say where you're from. And thank you so much for all the beautiful souls that are still here. I know I've read for many of you before, but I'm just going to kind of see where I'm guided to here, and just give myself a second here. So for anyone who's open, please let me know that you're open.
Okay, we've got Infinity is open, and we've got Nicole is open, Stacia, Lita, Jennifer, Craig, Mara, they're all open. Tammy, Myra, we're all open.
Myra, I know that Myra has two people. I know Myra on a personal level, but for her, immediately with Myra, I have a big dog that comes in, and I literally feel that I'm being pulled by this big dog. But I also know that Mom was also here, and she came in with like this kind of like a veil over her head. And I feel like this was her way of like just going into prayer, because I see her holding a candle. And so I feel like this candle, so it's like, if you feel that you're in the dark or things are a little bit like in the unknown, she's saying to light this white candle, if you would understand this. This white candle is being brought forward with little vasos, little cups of waters and things like this. And so this must be like some form of an altar of prayer. I see a little turtle or a little, like, I don't know if it's jade, but I feel like there's this like little green stone that's on your dresser. And so I know like both these spirit animals are spirits. You have the dog, and you also have Mom is coming in to just give you that hug, because I hear, man, I haven't had a message in a very long time, if you would understand this. And I was just missing them. And I feel like it was a birthday or celebration that you had, that you wanted to, just like, is my mom coming? I feel like you can smell the roses when she comes closer, because I feel like I'm outdoors, like I'm seeing you out there working on your yard. And I feel like she's right by the front door of like your roses. You must have flowers or some type of roses that your mom was like with you at this moment, where it was like, man, I really got to cut those things down. I got to pull the weeds, and ay, Dios mío, like I see you pulling. Her birthday was yesterday. Ay, mi amor. And so she's coming in this beautiful way, because I wanted to say happy birthday. But I also feel like when you were out there, you either were going to pull some roses for her. And I feel like, the mason jars, you put the roses in the house, and you have all the dogs, and you're making sure they're fed. And you look at your dad, and I want to check on him and see he's okay. When I feel into this, I definitely get the sense, Dad, they're just bringing awareness to his well-being, and there's lots of healing going to the leg, and lots of healing going to his body here, as I feel into his essence. And they're just so proud of you and the care that you give. I also feel like an uncle that's also stepping forward, and he's giving gratitude because he's making me feel like you pushed him in a wheelchair. And I get the sense that you were part of his care, but I feel like he has some kind of connection to the Bronx or New York or some type of like energy out in the East Coast, because this is the vibe this uncle is giving me. And I do feel as if he comes closer, he just, like if he was in a wheelchair, I feel like I'm looking at you and I'm just getting like this reassurance, like I'm holding your hand, like, oh, thank you. If you would understand this, Maida, because he's just got gratitude. He's got this gray sweater, white t-shirt. Yes, your uncle. And I know that when he comes close, I don't know if you know the name Fred or Federico, but I'm also hearing the name Fred. I also know that they're just saying, girl, why aren't you working? Like, you need to be doing your cartas. You need to be talking to your people. You need to be out there doing the work. Be care for him and laid him to rest. God bless you. And so he's just coming in and just saying like, a trabajar, come on, no haces flaja, don't, like, I feel like you're sitting there, you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And he's like, so if you call me, we'll put you to work. So I'm going to leave you with his love and their love, your mother's love. Your mother comes in and she brings healing around the heart. She knows that you also miss her. And she's also giving me a heart of like a crystal. So you must have been working with crystals, because I see a little crystal here that she's giving me with a heart to you. She goes, con Dios, I wanted to say Dios benedida, like with God, or like with God, all things are possible. It's the sense that I'm getting. But there's here, she's speaking to me in Spanish. And so I know that she's showing me her couch also. It's kind of like a darker suede and brown in it. So she must be taking me to her house. It's a very little house. And I feel like she just rested, and you have a memory of just walking in the door and she's sitting there and you're like, hi, Mom, what do you need today? I know. And then she would sit there like with my head hurting. And so you're playing back all these memories. And what she's saying is, don't go back and think about those things. Think about the fun, like you're smiling and you're being traviesita and you're coming up the stairs. And I feel like you had stairs that went down and there was this like sidewalk and you were this little girl just playing out there with your friends and you had your girlfriends outside. Like Jenny from the block is what I'm getting. So literally I heard the name Jennifer. So you must have had a friend named Jennifer as well. And she's saying, remember those, not when I was sick. Remember you having fun with the kids around the neighborhood. And that's what she's saying. You'll have friends. You'll know which ones to trust. And the ones that don't resonate with you, that's okay. So I'll leave you with her love, your uncle's love, and the dog's love. So thank you so kindly. Oh, your dog is saying there's a bone buried by the tree, or there's something buried by the tree, he says. And so I'll leave you with that.
Oh, that's beautiful, Debbie. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. I know we're almost out of time, but I did want to, I was feeling drawn to Tammy, and I know Tammy as well. And we haven't gotten to talk in so long though, but Tammy, for you, I definitely could feel your mom coming in, and I also could feel your German Shepherd coming in as well. So I just want to make sure I give you a little shout out from Mom, and she's sitting there with a rolling pin, and she's got the flour, and she's got it out on the counter there, and she's like making her dough and making sure everything's perfect. And I know that your mom always would have looked dainty and lovely even when she was in baking mode in her kitchen. I know that she loves to visit you when you're in the kitchen cooking too. I know that she loves to sing and hum into your ear because she has that fun moving into that dance with you when you're in cooking and baking mode too. I know that February, which is just passed recently, was a significant month for you. And again, we haven't talked, so you need to let me know what happened back in February, but she lets me know that this was a very significant shift in month for you too as well. And that has like shifted things, like kind of almost catapulted things forward for you, and kind of like pushed you farther down your path than it were before. I also know you've been working with the crystals and you're healing in a little bit of a different way that you've shown me, and that your work with your drumming too has been picking up as well. And she's showing me that you've been putting the pieces together to create your own version of like how you heal and how you work with your clients as well too. So I know this to be very important. I do feel Dad coming in as well. He comes and brings this very kind of stoic, grounded, very masculine presence, wants to wrap his arms around you too. For the times where you feel a little bit weary and a little bit tired. So your mom is going to bake you something, make you some soup, make you some cookies, make you some bread, put that smell into the home so you can feel like feeling of home again too, for your sort of inner Tammy as well too. And with that, your German Shepherd, your dog Greta, comes in with Dad. he puts his hand right there on her neck and lets you know, I have her, we're okay here, we're okay here. I do believe we're about at an anniversary of a passing there for you as well, Tammy. So I know that to be very important. I can feel the love and I can feel the tears for you, as well as we come into that time where we are acknowledging our loved ones that have passed too, including our pets, because we never stop missing them. They're like our children, you know. So quite beautiful. I'm so happy that they came in for you, Tammy, too. I also need to really quick give you the card, and it says King Tide, plenty, prosperity, receiving the fullness of life. So letting you know that success is here for you right now, my darling, to let you know that that is happening for you. So I'm going to leave you with that, Tammy. Yeah, it's that time of year, right? I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm going to close with a quote. Hang in there, Debbie, because I want to get your final last thoughts too before we say, you know, in the power of love and infinity. So this is a quote by, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right again. I tend to find a lot of people with hard names to pronounce. Solange Nicole. And when you have the power to love, that strength, that courage is infinite, that love is infinite. There's nothing finite about its presence, for love never dies. And of course, that's what we work through as mediums, to remind people that love never dies, because we are love. We are from the infinite. We are from the divine. We're just immersed into this beautiful reality. And Debbie, what would you like to say about love before you're very welcome, Tammy, before we say goodbye?
Mm.
A little
I
final
think
message.
when you look at love, many of us had great loss in love. And sometimes we block that love from coming back in. And so I ask that you keep an open heart, an open mind, an open spirit to welcome love back, whatever that looks like or feels like. Sometimes we want to have it painted with a certain picture of what it should look like. But whatever's presenting to you in this moment, honor that. Be okay with that way of them loving you now, and let it unfold more.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jen.
Yeah. Thank you, Debbie, for, you know, and never give up on love. It takes courage. Just never give up on it. Never
love wins.
It's always gonna.
Love wins.
Because love will not give up on you. Love will not give up on you. So don't give up on love.
Right.
Love always wins.
Love wins.
Debbie, thank you so much for being my first guest on my first show. I love you dearly. You're my sister, as many of the women here too are as well. I want to thank everybody for showing up here today and for all of your loving support, all of your beautiful comments, all of your contributions and your lovely questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being you. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Debbie will be on next Wednesday, right? With your show, Transcend. Debbie will be here on Sacred Spiral on Wednesday, and I'll be back next Friday with Colin Walker, and we're talking about the cosmic shift. So that's going to be super exciting as well. So be well, be happy, have a beautiful weekend, and let love be your compass. So goodbye, everybody, and thank you.
Bye, everybody. Congratulations, Jen. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.